Hello, Ace family, and today we are going over some of the plumbing tools in our plumbing aisle. And just wanted to kind of get started, get right into it, show you how to use a few of them, and see if we can learn something. So, just wanted to work with the planogram left to right. The first thing up top is a basin wrench. It's kind of like a pair of pliers that's just long and flexible. This head pivots on here. Sometimes you get into some tight, weird places, and that can kind of come in handy for a customer. The next thing we have here is a slip nut wrench. It's kind of like an adjustable wrench that's just flatter, so you can position it and get into tight spaces as well. Let's see, we've got. We do have one of these sets behind the counter too, but flaring, as PEX becomes more and more popular, we do flaring of copper less and less, but this is a flare tool for copper. So it does all sorts of different sizes, and you put the copper in, and then you use this, and it widens the copper right at the tip. Kind of looks like a little cone, and again, it's not as popular, but we still have it. So sometimes within every faucet there is a valve, what's called a cartridge, and especially if you're in an area of hard water like we are, you have to pull those out and redo the gaskets, clean them, get them fixed up, and this is a cartridge puller to help with that. Sometimes a pair of pliers just doesn't do it. All right, the next item here, this is one of the most popular tools. This is a pipe cutter, but it is for flexible tubing, and you need to remember that we use this a ton. And we do have one in the store. We use that to cut all of our flexible tubing by the foot. It's for flexible. This will not cut rigid PVC or ABS, but it will cut everything that's flexible or clear vinyl hose. And it's very popular when someone's working on a sprinkler system. They use one of these a ton. It's just so easy to cut, and it gives you a nice and clean way without using a razor blade, where you risk cutting your finger or your leg wide open. Little safer too. So very nice. We use these a ton in the store. There are replacement blades available, but that doesn't come up super often, but this is an awesome tool. We do have a, let's see if I can get it off the hook okay. All right, so this next tool that we have here is well, I don't know what the technical name is actually, a street key. So what this is for is sometimes you have a valve that's clear deep in the ground, and so you can't get to it with just a regular wrench. So you have this so you can go down and you can actually open and close the valve. And that's pretty popular in the city for turning on and off your water here. Let's see, the next little tool that we have is we do have a little saw right here that is for cutting PVC. So PVC, plastic, it will work for wood as well, but it's in the plumbing aisle mainly so that we just have a saw available so we can cut nice and flat and have the customer taken care of without going clear over to the tool aisle. While we're on saws, we do have some less expensive saws too. This is just a little hacksaw, so if you're cutting some small pipe, just need something cheap 1 or 2 times, this is going to be a great option for that. In the same spirit of being cheap, right here is a disposable cable saw, and so we have something similar to it in our camping supplies. That is a tree cutter. It's a pocket-sized chainsaw where you roll it back and forth over a tree to cut it down. This is the same thing. You roll it back and forth over a piece of pipe, and that'll cut the pipe, give you a nice smooth cut. Just a different way of doing it. So We have some more specialty wrenches here. This is a tub drain wrench for tub drains. Right here we've got a plug wrench that has several different ends on it. Here we have a faucet seat wrench, so you have some different ends there, different sizes. And then we get into our copper cutters. And I thought this would be a great time to show you how to cut copper. So that's all of these black packages here, and right here, these are all copper cutters, and they come in super handy. So we do have one for the store because a lot of our copper's cut by the foot, and I wanted to teach you how to do that. So when you're cutting copper, what you want to do is you don't want to mash the copper. So we're going to back this out all the way so that it goes over, and you don't just want to crank down on it and mash it. You just want to get it so that it's snug, that it doesn't wiggle out, but just that it's snug. And then you just keep turning on the tightness in a direction, and then after 2 or 3 turns, what you're going to do is give the handle just a little bit turn, a little bit more of a turn, and then that will cut it some more. And then you go around a little bit more, turn the knob a little bit more, and just keep going in that same little dance. And then eventually you'll have a really smooth cut where the copper's just going to fall off, and it'll be a nice clean cut that the fittings will go on to great, and make sure that there's no problems with either the solder or the cutting. So right there, just fell off, nice clean cut. That's how we do copper. All right, moving on to the next tools that we have. This is actually one of my favorite in the store, are these plastic ratcheting PVC cutters, and we've got a ton of these in the store, and these are great because the cutter we went over earlier, again, is for flexible tubing. This is for rigid tubing. There's replacement blades for this as well, but it will do as big of a pipe as you can fit in the jaws right here. And what you do is just put it on here, and then go ahead and mash it. And then as soon as it starts, this blade is actually needing replaced, so it's usually not that difficult. But once you get through the first portion of it, it's real easy, and it's a lot cleaner cut than something like a hacksaw. And we like most of doing a job is making sure you have the right tool for it, and it makes it a lot easier. So that's one of my favorites. Let's see, moving on to some other tools here. We've got copper cutters. We've got a basin nut faucet wrench, and this helps you with the nuts on a faucet, so that they can be nice and tight and it doesn't move. Right here we've got another style of a tub drain extractor. And then we've got some internal pipe wrenches. So internal pipe wrenches, this is going to be, this specific one is for 3/4 of an inch. It goes inside the pipe. So most of the time you tighten pipe from having a handle on it on the outside, but this is one that actually goes inside and tightens it on the inside. So just another style of a grip there. This is super common when someone has a broken pipe, broken nipple inside something, and they need to get it out. It's a little stub wrench basically, but it's a good pipe removal tool. So it's got 1/2 and 3/4, and what it does is you shove this into your pipe that's broken, and it works from the inside and hopefully grips it to get it out. Might not be a bad recommendation to get a penetrating spray, WD-40 or something on there to help to loosen that up if someone's in that situation. So the next tool we have, this is a shower valve wrench set. So sometimes those get into some bigger sockets and they can get pricey. Not everybody has a big socket set. This will get them taken care of. So you think water heater elements or shower valves. Just again, having the right tool for the job makes it easy. These are plumber's pliers, just with some different jaws on them. That we've got plenty selection in tools too. So the next sort of tools that we have, right here, this is a copper reaming pen, and what it does is sometimes after you cut copper, there can be a little sharp point on it, and this goes around the copper when you use it and helps to sand it down, so to speak. All right, let's see.
This is actually for the water heater that we sell.
This we've got a few cleanup brushes too, just to help with gunk and rust, just to clean up some pipes. We've got some that are kind of handheld. You can shove nipple threads in there and kind of twist them around and clean them up real good. And let's see, as far as kind of the last of the tools, this is a tube bending set. So sometimes with someone might want to make their own little elbow or something. They need just the right dimension, especially if you're talking about PVC or copper, as a matter of fact. So you can put the copper in, and instead of, if you bent copper tubing without putting it in here, it can kink. And if you put these on it and then bend it, it helps keep the bend straight and consistent. Okay, now that pretty much sums up all the tools here. I wanted to talk a little bit about the liquid and the pipe thread, because these are responsible for a ton of add-on sales. Just about everyone in the plumbing aisle needs something that's in here. So the first thing is we're going to have a lot of different bottle sizes of some of this stuff. So pipe thread compound. This is in a bottle. It's going to be liquid stuff. This is pipe dope, pipe goop, basically the liquid thread tape that's going to go on. Make sure that when you do screw two fittings together, that it's not going to leak. So we've got the Ace brand, and then we have the premium Odie brand, kind of the good and best right there. And then we have a little bottle of plumber's grease. Plumber's grease comes in handy when maybe you're installing a drain. Like to put silicone or plumber's grease underneath that drain. It just makes sure it takes care of those little drips and leaks, so that you don't have any issues there. If you think about like a washer on your P-trap and S-trap fittings too, that can be nice to have some plumber's grease on that as well. Just some ideas there. So we've got plumber's epoxy putty, and this stuff you kind of knead together and push on where you might have a leak or a crack, and it usually seals it up. Usually, if it's a bigger crack, I think it tends to work better. The smaller cracks, it's hard to get the putty in there, but it is for cracks. So something ought to work here. Now, this is one of the most popular items that we sell. We went over the liquid version of it. This is the tape version of it. This is thread seal tape, and this is for water. And when you pull it open, you're going to have all the tape to go over the threads, and a nice little convenient package, because no one's going to keep the cardboard around. This is great. Anytime someone's doing anything with threads, just, hey, do you need some thread seal tape with that? It's real cheap to get a roll, and it's worth buying and being sure you have it, rather than getting away from the store and realizing that you don't in fact have it. One thing with plumber's tape, so we do have the Ace brand that I was pulled up here, And then we do have some premium brands as well. The Mega Tape, the Blue Monsters, really good. And there are some quality differences between those. Think about it like a good, better, and a best to help keep it straight in your mind. But one of the things with thread seal tape is there's two major, very common groups when we're helping customers with fittings, and that is if you're doing a water application, water or air, something like that, or if you're doing gas. And when I say gas, I'm talking natural gas, propane, diesel, gasoline. If you're doing something like that, those are the two different categories. So the Ace tape, the Mega Tape, and the Blue Monster is going to work for everything with water, everything with air. And then the Blue Monster, I believe, and then we've got another Ace version, is rated for gas. So anytime someone's doing something with gas, we just want to doubly make sure that we're getting them the right thread seal tape. Otherwise, what happens if you use something that's just for water or air and it gets some gas on it? The gas will eat it and it just basically dissolves like there's nothing there. So it's just important that we use the right tape for that. So moving on, we do have a little bit of pipe lubricant, and then we do have some thread cutting oil. So if you're cutting threads or you're drilling stuff, it's good to keep in mind, especially in the tool aisle, we do have some thread cutting aisle. If someone's running a drill bit or something, this can come in handy for a customer. So moving down here, we have another very common item, and this is plumber's tape. Plumber's tape, some folks will come in and say, hey, the tape with all the holes in it, the metal stuff, this is handy for so many different applications, and this is where we have it. If you bend it enough on the holes, it can actually break without having to cut it. But you can cut it too, and this is where we have it. We get asked for a ton for this. There are some different gauges to it. So you would think that, so this one's a 22 gauge, this is a 28 gauge. You'd think the higher the number, the stronger it is, but it's actually the opposite. When we get into some of the wire, some of the sheet metal stuff like this, that the 28 gauge is a thinner, it's a lighter weight than the 22 gauge. This is going to be the heftier option for it. And then of course we have the Ace brand, and then we do have the premium Sioux Chief brand too. Plumber's tape, same thing, very convenient. And that's in contrast to, I'm going to come back to this, a thread seal tape. So the stuff with holes is the plumber's tape, and this would be a thread seal tape. So the rest of this stuff, we kind of have it's liquid pipe compound, liquid pipe thread compound, just in some bigger bottles here. So, and then we do have the thread cutting oil, just in a smaller bottle as opposed to the bigger bottle. And then down here, we've just got a few items left. So one of them is a plumber's putty. So we've got plumber's tape, we've got plumber's putty, and we have the pipe thread compound. So the plumber's putty, it's kind of like a silly putty that's used for various plumber fixtures. When I was talking about the grease, you can squirt the grease underneath like a drain. If you're installing a drain in a kitchen sink, you could use some of that. You could use plumber's putty for that as well, just to help seal the water for that. Right here we've got a bigger tube of plumber's epoxy putty. Same stuff on top, just a bigger tube of it. This is a pipe thread stick. This isn't a very popular item for us, but this you basically color on the threads, and it's a different version of the thread seal tape. Just another tool there. This is a gas leak detector. So If someone's alarm is going off for explosive gas, or someone just did a new installation and they're trying to make sure they don't have any leaks, this gets coated around pipes, around fittings, and it will bubble if there is in fact a leak, to make it easier to see. So usually a customer will ask for this, but we do have this. It certainly comes in handy. So that's pretty much sums up everything for the plumbing tools planogram, and as always, let us know if you have any questions.